What is up, guys, and welcome to the VisualWood podcast.
Hello.
Hello. And I'm here, of course, with Scarlet Potatoes here.
Hello.
How you doing?
Hello, Scarlet Potatoes here. Love you, boys. Thanks for playing Guild Wars 2.
Oh, man.
It's my favorite MMO of the 2010s.
That's great. It's not a sexy voice, man. I think just stick with the British accent.
The female British accent?
I don't think people know that you're actually an American.
Yeah. I have told you that before in private. And I guess that's how.
Oh, I'm sorry. I am so sorry. I should also say your real name too. Joey. How you doing, man?
How dare you? Yeah. Oh my God. Wow, you're just shattering the illusion now. Are you going to put a picture of Joey Tribbiani on screen?
How you doing?
That's Wood and Potatoes right there. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Now you went from a hot woman to like a sexy man.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. We've done 2 different episodes now where we go on to this, and both are equally as absurd.
Are you saying you're not attractive?
I'm saying that I'm not as stupid as Joey Tribbiani or Scarlett Jones. I actually don't know how stupid either of those people are. Matt LeBlanc's probably. He seems like a cool guy. I saw him in like this comedy sketch thing recently where like he was taking the piss out of people that were like, "Oh my God, you're grey now," and he was like, "Yes, people go grey." I'm not translating that joke at all, but it was good. It was good.
Well. Anything going on that we should mention before we get started on some Guild Wars 2 patch notes?
What, like IRL stuff?
Yeah. Well, come on. Anything crazy going on? Any gaming stuff? Anything you're looking forward to? Nothing like that? Nothing you should mention?
I've been watching a lot of Beyond Two Souls stuff. Have you heard of this game?
Yes. What do you mean have I heard of this game? Man, I am a humongous fan of Quantum Dream. I love their games. Heavy Rain, Indigo Prophecy.
See, this is the sort of my first experience of their stuff, but it's amazing. Like, it's such a good. I mean, it's another one of these. There's been a lot of them recently, but games that are coming out where like they're not necessarily really games; they're more interactive experiences, kind of thing. That's like a term that keeps coming back and coming back and coming back. Beyond Two Souls, like it does have a lot of gamey elements, but it is also, basically one long glorified QuickTime event. But
people dislike it for that. It's getting mixed reviews because of that, which kind of makes no sense to me, really. Like, because Heavy Rain was like, I mean, it was good. You made choices, and there was different outcomes in the end. And I'm pretty sure the outcome at the end of Beyond Two Souls doesn't change, right? The story is still there. The story is like, written in stone. But I don't see anything wrong with that, really, because I mean, The Walking Dead was like, oh my gosh, won all these awards, and it was the same damn thing. It's just like yes, some characters can last longer than others, but in the end, that's what counts, right? That everything leads to that ending.
Walking Dead did sort of have a few more point and click elements to it, though. I think like QuickTime events. They started off with a pretty bad rap, but actually a lot of games that we're seeing coming out like Walking Dead and like this, like they do it really well. And like I know for a fact, I'm only watching it on YouTube, but I know for a fact if I was playing it, I would be all over that. I'd be loving it. I really would. And
Ellen Page, what is not to like?
Yeah, dude. Oh my! Did
Willem
you know?
Dafoe.
So I was on Reddit earlier, and for some reason, there's like a shower scene at some point in the game. Where she's in the shower?
There's always a shower scene in his games. And David Cage always does that.
I haven't seen that far on the videos I'm watching, but I guess that they censor it in the game. But apparently, like, you can like unsense it by like hacking the game, and they like fully modeled and textured her nude body, and like there were posts of just like naked Jodie from this game on Reddit.
Gosh.
It's really weird as well, because it's like this character that you basically grow up, you experience her whole life with her, as a little kid and stuff, and then you're just looking at these full-on like nudes, like full-on, and it's like, what? This is really weird, right? It's interesting that they put it in the game, but also like, I don't know how I feel about this, because I really like this character as like a daughter or a sister kind of thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Very weird.
People are very perverted. Holy crap.
No, it's not. It's not necessarily. I mean, it's sort of perversion when you're just posting it online for people to gawk at. But I think it's very interesting that the devs went so far. You know, always in like video games and stuff like this, they'll go to great lengths to, you know, give women really shapely bodies and stuff. But there's no way. But you know, if you did find a way to get all their clothes off or whatever, they're always Barbie and Ken dolls because people just don't bother with that. It's kind of interesting. In Guild Wars 1, one of the main characters, Sin, the devs modelled on an arse crack like texture for her, which if you like clipped through her armor, you could see, which was weird enough. And now we like have this full-on game that it's like, do we applaud that for attention to detail, or just sort of think, no, this was completely unnecessary and weird?
I guess it depends on the situation. I mean, I've seen sex scenes, right? And I'm not like a huge fan of sex scenes, but when it's done right, it's done right. But when you see a sex scene where it's just like, oh yeah, you know, and it's just going crazy in any media,
this is
really.
Because you're playing porn games, Matt. You should be playing porn games if you don't want to see that.
Well, I'm mostly thinking about shows and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just like, why does that need to be there? Like, there's no point of that being there. You know, it's like, okay, they've had sex before. Yes, I understand that. I don't really need to see that over and over again. It's just like the Spartacus. Like, all you see is just like balls everywhere. It's just like, I don't need to see that.
A friend of mine was trying to get me into Spartacus. I watched like 2 episodes. It wasn't the nudity that put me off. I don't know, I got bored by it. I couldn't quite get into it.
Really, the action is just really good, even though I'm not into those parts. It's like the action is just
it's
so
this
good.
idea of sex position, they call it now, which is where you have like long sequences where not much visually interesting can feasibly going on at that point in the story, but there's a necessary scene to establish some flaw in a character, or, you know, push some political agenda, or, you know, within, like, just to sort of push the narrative in some way, but there's not much interesting going on the screen. It's this idea that there are a lot of shows now, you know, Game of Thrones is a big one that does it too, particularly like period shows and stuff do it. They just basically have the characters be nude, so, and they call it sex position because it's like it distracts the people with low attention spans while giving all the exposition on the important stuff at the same time. Yeah, so there you go. That's the term for you.
So you're saying all those sex parts are for stupid people?
Yeah, for people that don't have the attention to hold up with, you know, lots of dialogue.
Well, there you go. Anyways, 9 minutes into the show, we probably should talk about Guild Wars 2.
But Beyond Two Souls is so good.
I know. That's what I wanted to mention. For me, I'm watching the Jesse Cox playthrough.
Oh, snap, dude. Yeah, me too.
I mean, really, like, like every time he does, like, I don't watch all his stuff, but I do like to watch his Revenge of the Q&A, and when he does this full-on, like, upload every 2 seconds games. Like, he did this with StarCraft 2.
Yeah,
and that was
just bangs it all out.
Yeah, and it was really fun to watch him play, and it's really fun to watch him play Beyond Two Souls. But anyways,
it's one of those games that you can really, and this might be a flaw of games like this, because they are going to get less sales because of cheap people, where you can really experience the vast majority of the game by watching it on a YouTube run through. Do you know what I mean? Like, there are some games that can't quite get that across, like Minecraft, right? Open sandboxy games. Basically, the more choices and decisions you let the player have in terms of the gameplay, the better it's going to sell, and like the less susceptible it's going to be to YouTube playthroughs, I think. And this really falls into that trap. But, you know, it looks like it's got enough branches here and there,
right,
for it to be worth it.
And I don't know, especially when you know, the ending is the ending, and no matter what you change, you know. But even though, like, I think, like, if you pick a lot of aggressive stuff for Aiden very early on, that Aiden becomes aggressive later on as well, and he will make decisions for himself. I think there's a little something out there, but a lot of reviewers are saying it's not enough. Anyways, Halloween is coming back.
Oh, we're too similar, man. That's really weird.
Yeah.
Wow.
Blood
I'm looking
and
forward
madness.
to it. Yes, Blood and Madness. So what are your overall... Well, okay, I'm sort of excited for it.
Yeah, I'm excited, not for necessarily Halloween, but for just the Clock Tower and, of course, the traits and skills, really, because they're getting a buff to one of my classes, which is support. Well, one of my roles, should I say. I like playing support. So
I've got to say,
great. Yeah,
you're quite excited about Halloween because of the Clock Tower.
Yeah.
A lot of people hated that thing last year, but I'm seeing nothing but love for it now. I don't think, and they haven't mentioned that they're going to change it at all. I think a lot of people, potentially you included, are going to be very disappointed by the clock tower. Unless there's been some substantial change to it, people are really romanticizing what that thing was last year. And I think people are getting set up for disappointment. The amount of people complained about returning Super Adventure Box stuff.
Yeah.
And that was like 20 times better than anything the clock tower ever offered. Really, the clock tower isn't that long. It wasn't that hard. The only reason it really wasn't that hard. If you were doing jumping puzzles before that, it really wasn't that hard. And with the state that a lot of the community's in at the moment, I think people are going to... I think there's going to be a twang of that. People are going to be like, oh, yeah, I did the clock tower, an hour of content. Halloween's here for a month. And then people are going to be saying, oh, there wasn't enough.
Well, especially for you, it wasn't that hard. But it took me 6 hours, and it took people pretty much, I don't know, like 10 hours to complete.
But it wonon't take you that long anymore because you've done loads of jumping puzzles.
Yeah, because I know how to do jumping puzzles. But I'm still going to enjoy it because it's a hard thing that not everyone can do and everyone gives up so easily, which I like. I like people who give up easily, and I have the reward at the top of the tower. I'm like, yeah, I did it. Guess what? You suck. You know, like, nah. But really, like, I want more stuff like that. It's like, oh yeah, I beat the clock tower, even though it took me a long time or whatever like that. You know, I went through it. You know, and that's kind of why I like the hardcore stuff with the tribulation mode and all these other, the new dungeons. I don't know.
What did you think of the Queen's Gauntlet then? With Liadri, I keep saying her name wrong. I thought it was the Undying, but it's not. The Concealing Light. What do you think of her?
What do you mean?
The final boss in the Queen's Gauntlet, the one where you had to.
Oh, yeah! I thought that was awesome. The thing with that is that you have to spend money. That's like if you have like you can't do it with like whatever build and whatever gear. If you're lucky, you have what you need, which was damage, right? Or sustain and damage, right? And condition damage to kite her around. Like for me, it was extremely hard for me because of the build I was working with, and I felt like I wasted like 15 gold.
See, that's really
Yeah,
that's really interesting because this is hardcore, like, soloable content that's basically in the same vein as the Clock Tower, except it is keyed quite heavily into the general game mechanics of Guild Wars 2. It's keyed into the builds of Guild Wars 2, the nature of buying new equipment and repairing your equipment as it's damaged, and, you know, the cost of waypoints and stuff. It's tied into the regular Guild Wars 2 mechanics, and that's what makes it stop working as really difficult content. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, and that's a really interesting idea that, like, the clock tower can be really difficult but still fun because it's separate from all of these other barriers and stuff that Guild Wars 2 poses you. But as soon as you add something like Liadri that really is just your build and your gear and all of that stuff, then all of a sudden it's like much harder for people to work with and more frustrating for them.
Yeah, because you're gonna have to spend money, and I understand that not many people have disposable income in Guild Wars 2 to just spend, especially, you know, people who want to get their achievement and don't play as much. So it's like, you know, but in the other hand, people want that hardcore feel. You know, there's something for everyone. They always come up with something for the different, you know, shades of gray. Why did I say
50
that?
50 of them? Yeah, what the hell?
Yeah, so I really think, because I asked Josh Foreman, I was like, you know, clock tower, any upgrades, any changes? And he was like, you're gonna have to see, Matt, if that's gonna happen or not.
He was just blowing you off. There's no changes. He didn't have an answer to it.
Oh
my god, I'm panicking.
Dude, if anything, if they're gonna repeat content, I think it will be this year that they repeat, not last year. Even though they are bringing back old stuff, right, and all the haunted doors and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure they're gonna change the rewards. I'm pretty sure they'll change, you know, certain things that happen, just like the Bloody Prince. So now we have the Bloody Prince Edric and Oswald Thorn. That's funny, which is the Mad King. And so there's some changes there. So I'm hoping that the clock tower, that would change as well. Maybe not like drastically change, but at least some music or some steps or something.
There was actually an upload on SoundCloud about of some Halloween music. I don't know whether it was from last year or this year or not. I saw it on the Guild Mag summary that they put up. Like, I was just browsing through it and saw that the devs had put up some stuff on SoundCloud, which was pretty interesting. But maybe that was from last year. I remember them doing it last Winter's Day. In the nature of updates, okay, and in terms of what's changing with the old stuff, the only thing the release page confirms is that the Labyrinth is getting an update. because it's going to have a section of it that bloody Edric will now like hold dominion over.
Yeah,
that's the only area, and like there's some distinction between who owns what minions, kind of thing. So we'll see a difference there, and what I think that difference is going to translate into is the addition of lots more champions and things that will make the labyrinth a really compelling place to farm. Because like that's the farm patch area, do you know what I mean? This is going to be the return of the I keep messing it up. Crown Pavilion or Queen Gauntlet? Yeah, the Crown Pavilion. Yeah,
Crown
the one
Pavilion,
down at the bottom.
Yeah.
This is the labyrinth is going to be like the new version of that, and I'm curious how is it going to be good enough to stop people from Frostgorge farming? Maybe, because it will give them candy corn and stuff. Which reminds me... Okay, hold on. Do you have anything to say before I like jump off board?
just go ahead. Let it ride.
Okay, that reminds me. Some guy was in the clock tower last year on a character, right? And logged out that character. Didn't log back in for 365 days or however long into this patch. And now, when he logged in, he's in the Mad King's realm right now, live Guild Wars 2. Wondered, how crazy is that, dude?
That's crazy, man. I heard of that on Guildcast. I was like, oh, snap, really? So that content is just live and sitting there? So you could be there if you could actually get there. You know, if there was some way to glitch through that would be pretty crazy.
Which is interesting because I've been trying to, I've been breaking out of a lot of different maps recently because it's just really fun. I'm having a lot more fun doing that than a lot of us other stuff in Guild Wars 2 at the moment. And one thing you can do is break out of Divinity's Reach, and we're talking about the Crown Pavilion so much. You know how there's the giant hole, and you used to be able to jump down the giant hole, and it would transport you to the area below, the farm area, yeah?
Yeah.
You can break out of Divinity's Reach and swim around in like the void underneath the entire map, and then swim underneath that hole. And I did that in the hopes that, because obviously the blast doors come across now and you can't actually get down there usually, and I did that in the hopes that if I got there it would transport me into this map. Like, the map isn't supposed to be in the live client right now, but if you can bug your way through, maybe you can get through this active portal and then go back into this area that the rest of the players of the game can't really get into. But that was completely disabled, and that portal just doesn't exist anymore, and instead you get like into this weird version of the area that's just been like totally flooded because it's like unmapped area, which is cool in itself. But you know, then you compare that to the fact that the Mad Realm is actually still alive in the game. It's kind of interesting. It's like these instances probably are still there and accessible, but the portals that lead to them have simply been shut off and disabled. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah.
Everything we've seen, you know, what about stuff like the Molten Facility or the Aetherblade Hideout or any of these other temporary things that have gone into the game? Canax's Lair, maybe they all still exist, like, and can be accessed on live. It's just that you'd need a dev command or something to do it.
That would be pretty cool, because I'm going to try it. I probably shouldn't say that, but I'm going to try it. I'm going to leave a character that I don't really play in there.
What? You're planning that far ahead?
Yes, I am.
Why? What benefit is that you going to be?
Guild Wars 2 doesn't know. Shh. Anyways, we have, of course, the Bloody Prince is coming. We have the Mad Realm doors that are coming all around Tyria. Or Kryta, should I say, and the Mad King's Labyrinth, which we talked about, the Clock Tower, and the Lutanic. I was going to say Lutanic. For some reason, I've been saying Lutanic. Lunatic Inquisition, which you can play as a villager or a lunatic, and I guess survive at the end of the night. If you die as a villager, you turn into a lunatic, which I never played last year.
I was about to ask, yeah.
Yeah,
so
I never played because like this is like they had acts, so I didn't know that like I didn't look up the release page. This is the beginning when release pages weren't like the thing to go look up all the patch notes and stuff like that. You know, this was like in the beginning of Guild Wars 2, and yeah, so I didn't know of any of those events and stuff, and I like the way they set it up now. Like now everyone won't miss anything, pretty much. But how was it? Did you get to play it last year?
Yeah, it was. I did a little video about Halloween as well, where I'm basically going to repeat myself. But it was good. It was basically, the idea is, you've played Halo, yeah?
Yeah, of course I played Halo.
You know zombies in Halo 3 and up, or Halo 2 if you played on like a custom arena?
You mean the Flood?
Well, in Halo 4, but, you know, just the zombies.
You're talking about the zombies game. Yes.
Yeah, zombies game type, yeah. So, for other people, it starts off with 2 teams. You've got survivors and zombies. If a zombie kills a survivor, then the survivor goes to the zombie team. So, it's like Team It, if you've ever played that. Basically, the survivors whittle down and down and down and down until there's the last man standing, and voila. And, like, in that game, humans could shoot guns, and the zombies could only kill people in melee kind of thing. This was Guild Wars 2 Zombies, which was great. I loved that game type. And it was Guild Wars 2 Zombies, but with like 20 people on a map, even more perhaps. Like, and a huge map as well. We're talking very big map. You know the Labyrinth? Where you can farm and stuff. Quite a big area. This mini game was just on a copy of the Labyrinth. Like a massive area, like a giant maze. And it was this idea of zombies. You have the survivors, the villagers, and the Lunatic Inquisition, the zombies. And you as a survivor, it was your job to survive. Really cool idea. And it played a lot into environmental weapons. Like you as a villager, you couldn't really do anything. But if you picked up these objects all around the Labyrinth, they would give you different abilities to enable you to set traps or like stealth yourself, I think one of them was, and you know, maybe get a speed boost to get away, because I think by default you move slower than the Lunatic Inquisition, and you've got to like hide, and then if you die you join their team. Oh my god. And if you die that's just my whole house being destroyed there. If you die you like join the Lunatic Inquisition and you get all these different abilities as well. Great idea. But there were 2 problems, okay? I know that you know one of these problems straight away just because it's an activity. What problem do all activities
You don't have your
have?
friends, obviously.
You can't party in. What's up with that, right? So you can't party in, and that sucks. So, and because it's high peak times, because it's a festival, blah blah blah, loads of people there. It's very unlikely you're going to get in with your friends. Second problem is it's hot join. Now I can understand why they would do it as hot join, so that you know it's much more relaxed and casual, which is what the game type is supposed to sort of be, right? But that completely undermines the idea of being the last man standing, or any semblance of, you know, slowly actually wiping out the survivors. Because what will happen is you are doing awesome, all of your friends have started to die, you know, the adrenaline's going, it's maybe you and one buddy left, let's assume you got in with a friend, so you and one buddy, you're like backed in a corner, and you're like, oh, and then your buddy's like, don't worry, I'll go off this way, bait them away to save your life, and you're like, yes, and you get away. And then it like comes up with last man standing or something, right? And it's this big tense moment. And then suddenly 3 random dudes are like, oh, hi, lol, we've just joined. And then they just join on the villager's side. And it's like, what? Or you die and you're like, oh, damn it. Okay, whatever. Relog. Oh, yeah, look, now I'm back and I'm a villager straight away because I don't want to be playing as a zombie. And it completely ruins it. And because it's hot join as well, therefore, the game doesn't, like, end when all the survivors are killed. As far as I remember, it doesn't end when all the survivors are killed. Instead, it, like, you have to play on the map until it ticks down, like, after 15 minutes. So, like, it's always an arbitrary time limit. And it just completely destroys any semblance of what would have made that game good. So, like, it was mildly fun for the first maybe 5 or so games. I think there were maybe some achievements associated with it. Some cool stuff, but then after a while you're just like, oh, it's just, what's the point, because it's hot join, and the release page doesn't say that they've changed it, so it'll probably be the same.
Yeah, they'll probably mention like, oh, we finally, you know, made this a lot better, and activities not being some random mess of, you know, pugs and just, you know, like it, which is, the game type is still fun, but really these activities are really just built around having fun with your friends. I mean, what's the point of the MMO if you don't play with your friends? I mean, Sanctum Sprint would be awesome. I don't think they're doing it on purpose. I think they just have to like change like the way the game is made.
No, I think they are doing it on purpose. I think Sanctum Sprint works. Sanctum Sprint works, but the other ones don't. Yeah, really, because otherwise, if you let people party in and go together, then you can be competitive about it, and you can say, right, okay, we want to play on this map, and we're all going to go in and A, grief, or B, be a really solid team.
Then switch it. Then have then have one that has group play, and have one that's just hot
And then
join.
the problem there is that it's splitting the community even more. Think about the fact that barely anyone was running activities in the first place. And now you're saying, oh, we have 2 separate versions of every arena that we've got in the game, split people even further. What's the chance in TPVP? There's already ridiculously long queue times because teams don't want to queue. This would be the same thing here in already close to dead formats.
Well, then forever we will never be able to play with our friends. Pretty
and
much.
And it's not ideal at all. And I think, it's sort of I've got to stop fiddling with stuff on my desk. It's sort of, a big part of being devs that they need to find a solution somehow there. But yeah, I can understand why they're backed into that corner, if that is the reason. That
wouldn't be a problem if many people played activities, and maybe more people will play activities if they can play with their friends.
It's like a self-perpetuating,
So it's a constant circle and circles. Like, oh, do we do this? Do we do this? It all depends on the game, really. But yeah, all right. So what are we getting from this Halloween patch? Well, if you complete the meta achievement, you will get a tiny mini candy corn elemental.
Oh, hold on as well. Hold on. Do you know about the other activity? I'm going to just jump us back to the previous topic. Do you know about the other activity with Halloween that used to exist and now doesn't look like it's returning?
No. What is that?
So, like Dota-style games?
Yeah.
League of Legends.
Oh,
Heroes
Plants
of the
vs.
Earth,
Zombies?
blah, blah, blah. No. Yeah, Plants vs. Zombies. No, like League of Legends, Dota, obviously. Yeah. Stuff like this. ArenaNet made last year at Halloween. It wasn't just the Lunatic Inquisition. There were 2 mini games. One was the Lunatic Inquisition, which was kind of a casualish thing, and the other one was a little bit more serious. It was much more of a TPVP style game type. It was a Dota style map, where you had, creep, you had minions that went out across 3 different lanes, and it was like 10 aside, I think it was, or something, and you had a base, and you had towers and stuff like that, and you had to go off and defend, and that was on a completely unique map out in like this haunted cornfield area that was like unique. It wasn't like a repurposed labyrinth or anything, it was like a totally new area, and that was a cool mini game too, again undermined by the fact that you couldn't form proper teams and stuff and be competitive about it, but yeah, did you not play about that? Did you know that even existed?
No, didn't even know it existed. I swear, what was I doing at Halloween? Because I don't remember any...
Clock tower, 24/7.
24/7, probably, because it took me 6 hours on that whole day, so yeah. But like, I guess I was playing all the other stuff and getting all the achievements, but I obviously I didn't get all of them because I wasn't doing that, but
this second thing hasn't appeared on the release page, so it's like they're just not
maybe they stripped it. It's a PvP thing, right? You're in your PvP armor and all that garbage.
Yeah, well, all activities are like that. All activities are in PvP armor.
Yeah, so, going in there with noob armor, it's not really like, oh, yay, that's fun.
But then the labyrinth with stuff, I just think, again, if either they just forgot about it, which would be incredibly unprofessional, or... But who are we to judge? Whatever, right? Or
probably not good enough. Not many people played it, probably.
Yeah, well, it could be that. Yeah, and the idea would be, look, we have one activity, that's enough. We don't want to split people up too much. So, this was the less popular one last year, so we'll leave it out. Which, again, it's like, I don't know how I feel about that. Like, who cares if it's not being played? Just put it in on the off chance that I might get a game on it. But, it might be better because if they add features in that are clearly just dead, then it helps to, like, they really want to avoid this idea that the game is dying. Do you know what I mean? Which is certainly not. It's certainly not. But, you add an arena that no one's playing in, and, your average guy is going to get somewhat disgruntled by that. So maybe they're just sort of safeguarding against that. But it's a shame. It was a good game type if it wasn't hot join and blah blah blah.
Yeah, I really want to know the numbers for that. I mean, who really plays crab toss? I mean, come on now.
I like crab toss. I know it's blasphemy to say.
I don't like it. I do
crab
not
toss
like
is awesome. Oh my god!
One of my least favorite activities.
There is so much cool stuff you can do in crab toss. You have no idea. Like you can break open a crate and get like a fishing rod, and the fishing rod is like this ridiculous range thing that you can use. And if you use it on the crab guy, then it grabs the crab.
Annoying.
But if you use the fishing rod and the crab's flying towards you and someone stood in the middle, positions themselves properly, they can intercept the crab. So like while you're playing, you can like have an idea of, okay, the crab's there, but that guy over there's got the fishing rod, so I'm going to try and stand in between them and maybe I'll intercept it. Or, in the same way you can steal the crab from someone, you can go up to the guy with the fishing rod who isn't expecting to be targeted at all. I mean, he's just stood there with a fishing rod. And you can steal his own fishing rod. You can, like, daze him and then take his own fishing rod and then snatch the crab for yourself. And then there's, like, anchors that you can use and you can, like, throw them in the air and then in, like, 5 seconds there's a guaranteed smack knockdown that you can, like, apply. Oh, what a great game. There's a lot of little things in
Yay,
Crab Toss.
crabs.
I think it's just because people hate the Karka and they're damn annoying, especially in that arena. They're there to be annoying.
Yes.
Oh, it's a great game.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know.
You don't believe me.
It's alright. You also get if you follow the storyline, you get a candy corn node in your home instance, which I'm assuming that will mean candy corn is more rare.
That was a nice segue, by the way.
Yeah, so like I'm thinking maybe candy corn might be a little bit more rare this time around because you get to use it to craft the mini bloody prints, the 20 slot bag, and Halloween weapons.
Yeah, and what do you think they mean by Halloween weapons?
You think what you mean, is it the same or actually new weapons?
Namely, do you think that what do you think's going on with the Black Lion store and the fact that ghastly grinning shields from last year are worth like 400 gold at the moment? Do you think ArenaNet will bring them back this year, or give us Halloween variants in the Black Lion store of weapons we didn't see last year, such as like a scepter?
I think it's one of those things, those touchy subjects. Is like, okay, do we bring back all the stuff for all the new players, right? So they can get the skins, or do we leave that for all our first time players who've has been with us for years and have that rare skin that you have to spend a lot of money for? I wonder, because really the value of all those skins will just plummet down.
Go up and up and up.
Well, no, they'll plummet down if they have it, and they'll go up and up and up.
If they release, yeah.
Yeah, especially if they don't come out with the Halloween weapons this year. They're going to be like, okay, so we're never going to get these weapons back again. That price is going to be
skyrocketing.
Skyrocketing.
See, what's interesting about that as well, for me in particular as a player, is that I sold a chain greatsaw and I sold a ghastly grinning shield for enough money to buy the precursor for my incinerator. And what's a very interesting idea to me now then is, over time, let's look really long term. Let's look 4 years down the road. The first generation, shall we say, of legendaries, they're all going to devalue massively. And these two weapons that I sold in order to get my first legendary will be worth way more than the legendary could have ever possibly hoped to be, just because one is so much more exclusive than the other. Do you know what I mean? So it's this interesting idea that I sold off all this stuff that could have been amazing way further down the line just to look cool in the meantime.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for that reason, I hope that they bring them back. Even though it would be better for the game if there are more exclusive and super rare skins, it would be way better for the game. But my own selfish desire is I want those weapons back.
And this time around, if those weapons come back, I am keeping them and selling them later. I still have 4 wings that are extremely cheap.
Or just don't sell them.
The dragon coffer rings. I have 4 of them just chilling there.
Wait, what, Dragon Bash wings, you mean?
Yeah, Dragon Bash.
Ah, nice, okay.
Yeah, I just have a couple of them just chilling there. I mean, I bought them for really cheap, but when I first got them, I got 2 right in the beginning. I sold them for about 30 gold each. That was the start of my uprising to gold. Now I have now I have so much gold now. But yeah.
Just all from that champion farming, yeah.
Yeah. So you also get the Mask of the Night, right? If you do what the Man King says. So that's a thing, which I'm not into mask. Are you?
Wait, is this the final hat at the end of the event?
Or I don't know. No. This is just the Man King says. If you prove your ability to obey,
yeah, but isn't Mad King says the final event where he walks around Lion's Arch though?
I don't know if they're doing axe again. I don't think so.
Yeah, well, Mad King says was the thing at the end, surely, right?
Yeah, but they're not doing axe anymore. It's not Living Story. They used to do axe, but now they're not doing axe anymore. Yeah, that's the only way it was like that.
Oh no, I don't know though. I think he probably will still appear at the end. Even if they don't do acts again, they might still have the Mad King patrol around just at the end of the event, because you don't really need to do acts for that. It wasn't never really an act. Act 4 was a bit of a...
But they kind of removed that whole thing where it's you have to be here during these 3 days in order to get this, and people didn't like that, and people complained, and they took that out.
But that's been a staple of these events in the franchise ever since it started. I feel like that's and that's the idea of this hat as well. It's just a hat. That's all people are going to miss out on if they're not there at the right time. And don't they add a vendor at the end anyway that says, oh, if you trade X, Y, or Z, you can redeem this even though you never did the Mad King says? Didn't they do that last year? I don't remember anymore. Because they did the same thing at Winter's Day, didn't they? With Toymaster Tix.
Yeah.
Where it was once a day, the airship would be in a different place. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do that. That's what that section of the release page says to me. I doubt Mad King says will be an ongoing thing throughout the event. I reckon it'll just be a thing at the end, and you can get a hat from it if you're there. For the last 2 days, maybe.
All right. They upgraded the loot for World v World. They ranked up the chests to give you 1 silver. and maybe a masterwork or better item. I don't know. Doubling your chests for a cool...
Are these the rank up chests?
Yeah, the rank up chests. Every time you rank up, you get the chest. And so that's a thing.
That's cool because everyone's complaining, oh, the World vs. World rank should be account bound, not character bound. Which, you know, I can understand why. But this is a nice little thing where it's like, oh, hey, well, look, you get in 1 Zerg on a character that's never World vs. Worlded before. And you're just going to get 1 million of those chests if you have a good run. Because it's so easy to rank up at early levels. And, hey, it's lots of easy early gold and exotics and stuff like that, you know. So maybe that's a nice little benefit to it.
I've been wanting to get more into World v. World eventually, and I'm going to transfer servers and actually join in and have some fun with that when the new season comes out, which the season is coming out October 18th, and it's going to run throughout to December 5th. So for people who are excited about the first season of World v. World, I'm pretty excited. Hopefully it's quite interesting. It'll be quite interesting. Do you want to
explain exactly what that means?
All right. We'll be hosting the first World v. World season. We'll be splitting up worlds into leagues, and each world within the league will compare against every other world over the course of a season. Not only will you be rewarded for your team's season-long performance, but you will also be rewarded each week that you participate. So that's a thing.
And there's like unique finishes and stuff at the end, yeah?
Yep.
Gold, silver, bronze.
It's like a meta achievement thing as well. Like there's a lot of stuff to it. So, man, I can't wait to try this out. Hopefully, I'm thinking it's one of those things where it's not gonna be like, okay, it comes out, we don't care about it anymore. I think it's one of those things that people are gonna be really excited, especially those servers who are really invested into World v. World.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. And it's cheap to transfer at the moment, right, as well? It's half price?
Not really. Not for US, anyway. US is like, you have to pay either $10 for, like, the 5 servers that are high, and then very high, you still have to pay $20.
Really? They didn't change it? I thought it was just flat 50% off everything.
I would have loved that, but no, it's still $1,800.
Wow. Okay.
For very high. Like, yeah, it's a lot.
How much is that in-game gold?
I don't know. Quite a bit of gold. I'm thinking about using gold. I don't feel like using my money right now.
Yeah, dude. If you've got 500 of it and like no legendary that you particularly want, I'd go for that. Definitely.
Yeah. But gold is just so much right now. It's just like I'd rather just buy gold. But it's like nah, I'm straight. Anyways, there is some quality of life fixes coming up. There's gonna be some new ground targeting, which if you click and hold, and then you can release to do the AoE, whatever the AoE is. So that's a new option to there. If any of you guys had problems with the ground targeting, they had the improvements to targeting, which is when you press tab, you'll automatically go for the legendary first, and then everything else second. I think that's more or less of what it is, right?
Yeah.
Optional way,
and you got champions as well, yeah. The higher priority.
Yeah, and an optional way to display condition damage numbers, which I would like to see this as well. See how that works.
That sounds really good to me. Do you know what I sort of did from the... Didn't we talk about this? Why do I feel like I've talked about everything a million times? The condition damage thing, like how it will just have like a little poison icon above their head, and instead of lots of mini numbers for the poison, it just keeps going up poison. So like you can see that over 5 seconds you did 1,000 damage in poison to him, and in those same 5 seconds you did 2,000 bleeds, kind of stuff like that, right? So it like ticks up like 100 blades now instead. That's my understanding of what it means, which is good. I quite like the idea.
A big, humongous thumbs up for the tooltips for now the traits and skills. This is just so needed. We need math in Guild Wars 2. If Guild Wars 2 needed anything, we need more math. So to be done for us is what I'm saying. So now we're gonna have tooltips, whatever that means. Tooltips in your skills that actually show you, like, you know, how much you get healed, or how much shouts healed for warriors, or how much boons heal for a guardian. You know, all those skills that need all those percentages. Now they have it inside of there.
Yeah, I guess it's useful. I'm not that enthused about the change.
What?
Like,
come on, really?
Yeah, because like for me, like you just use it, you just test it, and you see how effective it feels. I don't need to know the exact numbers. I just need to know how effective it feels. Because even if the number looks amazing on the paper, that might not translate to incredible use in game, even if that information is laid out for me. So I don't really care. Like
this saves way too much. This saves a lot of time. No, there's no way I'm like testing it on some dummy or how much this goes, and then you have to reset your traits over and over again just to do it. No, man, I'm not resetting my traits 100 times, going to the dummy to keep hitting the dummy. Hell no, dude.
You know you can do that in the Heart of the Mist, yeah, for free.
Heart of the Mist is PvP, not PvE.
It doesn't matter. It will
what do you
still
mean
give
it doesn't matter? Of course
it will still give
matters.
you the relative effectiveness of the skills and the traits that you're trying to test out.
I'm tired of you guys saying that PvP is something totally different than PvE. Okay, no, dueling is not in Guild Wars 2 because it's not in PvE.
I concede that the Heart of the Mists are not entirely useful for testing PvE builds. They're not, because the stat caps are completely different. The amulets are far more limiting. There's just a lot of differences there, and that's half the runes aren't available, half the sigils. So no, it's not perfect for it. But I do think for just general, and that is what this is. The trait changes and the skill change, like a little bit more information on the tooltips, like. I really could care less. It's general little quality of life improvements that should have been in the game, and I'm happy that they're in the game. And it's fine. I'm not saying don't put it in, but I am not that excited about it because that's not going to help me to know how useful this stuff is. I'm still going to test it out. Just because I say, oh, this Shoutnar does heals for 900 damage, it's like, well, whatever. Like, and if you think about with allocating traits. Okay, I want to know how good this Grandmaster trait is, so I'll take the trait and then I'll hover over the skill. Oh, the skill update didn't really show that much anyway. You're still having to retrait constantly. It's a nice little thing, but it's not massive.
Anyways, balance updates for support classes. Oh, not support classes, but for support builds, should I say.
Support classes? Dedicated healers?
Support builds.
Cleric, come to
for
Guild
all
Wars 2.
Professions.
Druid, come to Guild Wars 2.
Skills and traits will be reworked and, with improving support builds. So that is pretty good. I can't wait to see what they actually do with the Guardian. Even though I looked at the leak notes, didn't seem really that much was going on for the Guardian, which is kind of sad.
Yeah, I've been hiding that from you because you seem so excited about the Guardian. I haven't seen much for Guardian.
I saw it yesterday. I was like, because I like to be surprised, and look at the official notes, right? Not the leak stuff. And then I was like, what the hell? They didn't do anything for the Guardian.
Yeah,
and I guess they're already powerful. Yes. But
there you go. It's support capabilities for other classes that otherwise don't really have them at the moment, and it's not major anyway. Like it's minor tweaks and stuff. I'm afraid people have really got worked up as this is like the massive patch for support stuff, and it's not really. There's some interesting new mechanics they've splotted around here and there, but. Like, the stuff that I'm excited about more than anything are the invulnerabilities and the conjure weapons on Ellie. The other stuff looks kind of meh to me.
Yeah, I got depressed when I looked at the leak notes, and I was like, I really hope that, this is
there's
just
something
fake, and there's more. That guy didn't rage for no reason. That guy raged
Well,
for
they're
no
very
reason.
old. It's like we said. Well, we definitely said this week. I know we said this last week. Those leaked patch notes they're old. So, they could have made a lot of changes and refinements and differences since then. So, fingers crossed for you.
Well, that is pretty much it, other than the dev live stream, which will be on the 14th. Let's go into some questions.
How long away is the 14th?
Question time.
4 days.
3 days. 3 days.
3 days.
And Pokemon comes out tonight. Oh my god.
Pokemon.
Gotta catch 'em all.
I'm so true.
Dun, 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 dun.
Pull us through. Grimstar
teach me.
Okay. It's really weird because the first person who asked a question has a Psyduck as their character avatar. That's the word I'm thinking of.
Man, I haven't seen Psyduck in a while in Pokemon.
Psyduck?
Yeah.
Psyduck?
Misty used to have a Psyduck.
Yeah, she did. She did used to have a Psyduck.
And
that's what I remember.
it was stupid. It was so stupid. It was, dude. It was a stupid Psyduck. Okay.
Animal cruelty.
Isn't that what Pokemon is? Really?
It's interesting. You can have some interesting debates on whether. Do you think that humans eat Pokemon?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that happens.
They do.
There's a dark side of Pokemon. I'm pretty sure.
I've been wanting a good Pokemon anime for a long time. Origins is okay, but it's like it jumps ahead a lot. It's not very long, and there's a lot of problems with it as well. For me.
Lot of problems. Like some of the time, like they jumped over all the good stuff, and then the stuff that they stayed on was like stupid stuff. Like, I don't care about this. Show the fights. Cause the fight and like all the fights and stuff were actually really good.
They were much better than the regular anime.
Yes, right. And it wasn't stupid and corny. You don't see Team Rocket every 2 seconds and stuff. Like, this is what everything I wanted in Pokemon, and it was fine if they did those types of episodes if it was a long series, but it wasn't, and I didn't know that, and I was very disappointed.
Yeah, like if I could combine elements of Origins and the regular Pokemon anime with Ash, like I would definitely take the length of the regular anime, and I quite like the long roads and the filler and this really expansive like world that they give you in the regular anime. But I'd like combine it with the fights that you get to experience in Pokemon Origins, and maybe a slightly more of a mature tone to it. But
I say burn Ash, just burn him to ash. Burn Ash to ash, dude.
That's the plot of the second movie. All the world will turn to ash. And everyone thinks that the world's going to get destroyed, but no, it's talking about his name. That's like the climax of the movie. Oh, I love that. I remember that. Anyway, let's get to the questions. Brimstar Psyduck says, "Sure, you want better rewards, Matt, but where's the? You pick hardball questions. I respect you for this. Sure, you want better rewards, Matt, but where's the fine line between too little or too much? This can easily make. Oh, this isn't the question I thought it was. This can easily make it so the rewards are so saturated that it becomes meaningless anyway. The random TA Aetherblade weapons are there, but you don't like RNG for dungeons."
It's not that I don't like RNG for dungeons. It's that they I said this before. They have to really think of if it's too hard to get, right? If the dungeon is too long, right, and hard, and you have to have a group to do it, right? You have to get 5 people to take an hour or 2 out of their life to do this dungeon, right? And if they don't get a reward or something, or
you got the slick pack.
Yeah, who cares about backpacks? Okay, we don't have a wardrobe, so I don't care about backpacks. There's too many backpacks. My bank is filling up. Dang it. Okay, so no. But like, for the amount of time that you're gonna put into it, the rewards are not there. Yes, RNG. RNG is fine. I don't have a problem with RNG, but I feel like there needs to be RNG and something else that you definitely get, right? But also, there's also problems with tokens and stuff like that, right? There's also problems with that if you get tokens or this material, they should do that. Accept tokens, get a material, right, that's used for your ascended weapons, or something that you can only get from hardcore dungeons, like level 80 dungeons, and make it extremely hard. I want an extremely hard dungeon that gives me something. Definitely, oh man, this dungeon is hard, but guess what? At the end, I'm gonna get an obsidian shard if obsidian shards were actually worth it. I'm gonna get an obsidian shards, and I'm gonna use that for my legendary or my ascended gear or my legendary armor, for instance. That would be an incentive to do that, right? And if you build this high gear, which is ascended gear or legendary gear, you can use that and you can sell it to gain money, right? So if you run it multiple times, you get that material, you farm that material. This dungeon is extremely hard, so it's extremely hard to get this material. You can either sell the material or use it to build something. You build it and then you can sell that too. Why not? Why don't they have this into the game? Maybe this game is not built that way. Maybe it's just not what I want. But I feel like it has to have some type of system like that.
Yeah. No, I see where you're coming from. I'm not going to elaborate very much on that. I think my perfect, honestly, and a lot of people wouldn't like stuff like this, but my perfect idea of dungeon rewards would be tokens exclusive to that dungeon that can be redeemed for any specific bit of gear that you want.
Right.
That gear is a unique skin, possibly tradable in the trading posts, so that you can earn a lot of money should you be doing the dungeon for that reason. And it takes a lot of runs of that dungeon to do it. That would be my perfect way,
Right, because it's sitting there looking at you. Guess what? You can get that if you collect enough tokens from that dungeon. You have to run the dungeon. I don't run a raw for my health. I run a raw because I wanted the gear, okay? Yeah. I didn't run a raw because, oh my gosh, I just love getting boned by Lupicus, Bubicus, whatever. I want loot, man. That's what it's for. Yes, fun. I consider fun dungeons. I mean, fun, like hard content, tribulation mode, because the reward at the end really is just skins, right? It doesn't really matter. The reward is not that big. Let's be honest. It's cool, but it's not that big. And I get rewarded for completing Tribulation Mode and Clock Tower. Like, I feel rewarded. I feel like I did it, because not a lot of people do it, because they will see out.
It's very hard. And the thing is as well, this idea of running a path multiple times, that can get boring, but I'm also a firm believer that if something's difficult enough and the mechanics are well enough designed into that difficulty, it actually doesn't get boring. So what if it's your 50th run through the dungeon? If it's still so hard that you're incredibly tense and nervous and you're still like jumping for joy when you complete stuff, like it doesn't matter if you've done it 50 times at that point. So I think that if it's hard enough, you can get away with making people run it a lot of times to an extent. I think maybe you can pad that out. Like RNG should be padding. It should be guaranteed token, and you need loads. RNG,
it should be
though,
extra, not the main reward.
Yeah, you have a chance, however. So you get the new Twilight Arbor armor if you run this super hard difficult dungeon 60 times, but there's also a really low chance that as you're just going through, you might get one of these new weapon skins at the same time, right? Or you might get something, you might get one piece of your armor early or something. So the RNG pads it out a bit, but it's not what you're expecting. You're not relying on the RNG. You're doing it for the token first and foremost.
Right. If the way that they have the reward system right now for that dungeon is like, okay, what am I doing it for? Am I really doing it for the weapons? Yeah, but do you really want to go in there everything, over and over again for the weapons, or do you want to wait, farm something else, and buy the weapons? Like, that's not a good incentive, because you're at the end of the dungeon, you should feel accomplished, like you are working towards a goal, and that is an issue. Okay, I have no problem with the other dungeons, because the other dungeons have tokens. Guess what? I'm going to get what I want. I look at the rewards. I'm like, okay, I want that piece and that piece and that piece. I'm going to go run Cough a billion times until I get that. And it's fun because you get with that group that knows what they're doing, and they run through Cough. You make friends, and you run through Cough easy because you're bursting it down. You're doing good builds to run this as fast as you can and efficiently to get it done. And I think that's a more fleshed out answer than what I gave last time. So hopefully you guys understand where I'm coming from with that.
And particularly, I think they hit it on the head as well with full armor sets being the reward for this stuff. Because it's like we said last time, at launch, like it was something to behold to see someone in a raw armor, and that's not in the game anymore. There's no armor set, and we're getting ascended armors coming soon and whatever, and maybe legendary armors down the line. But right now there is no armor set that people look at and say that's really difficult to do because they did this dungeon X amount of times, right? And you sort of know that was a really nice feeling for the game at launch, but it whittled away so quickly because people just don't like the effort. They don't like the effort at all. And maybe that was more of a valid... I'm going to stop on this in a second, but maybe that was more of a valid criticism at launch where there were less skins and armors to go for. It was like a great majority of the ways to customize your character in Guild Wars 2 were through ridiculous amounts of dungeon grind. But now there is a lot more option, and I think that they can afford to start putting that stuff back in there. And like people have less room to complain and say, oh, I can't look how I want to look. Because no, you can. There's lots of other options if you don't want to do the hard stuff.
Yeah.
Right, okay, question 2. For the record, we got 10 questions today, guys. We've already been talking for about an hour. I don't know how many we'll get through. Ink, oh my god, I thought this guy's name said something else there. He's called Ink the Dink. Says, how would you like to see yearly events like Halloween and Winter's Day changed and or added onto? What do you expect we will actually get?
We were talking a little bit about this before. I say, like, yes, they're going to come out. Rehash content should be like the mini games. Really, like, if you like the mini games, like if you like Dragon Ball, for instance, right? That only comes when, that certain event is there, right? Dragon Ball, you'll get to play Dragon Ball every year, and that will be the day that you play Dragon Ball. That should be the same for all these mini games. They can rehash those mini games for the actual content that's in there. I would like to see that fleshed out a little bit more. Like last time we had like a traditional quest where you get a book at the end of it, right? A flaming back piece. I don't want to see a back piece this time. Yeah, and one was glowing, right? Or what is the one after?
Yeah.
I missed
one was
that
like green and one had fire on it.
I still have the fire one on my necro. It's awesome. That's cool and all. I would like to see that be the part that they spend most of their time on and flesh out the story, add a little cool quest system to that, and, map it in real nice instead of it being like, I don't know. I didn't really like the fetch quests last time. People would disagree with me, but
you didn't like the scavenger hunt style?
Yeah, I'm not a really fan of the scavenger hunt stuff because I like to be able to do stuff on my own, and not use Dolphy. But I feel like I wanted to use Dolphy because I didn't care to do the scavenger hunt. So yeah.
What, isn't that a double standard?
Yeah, it probably is, but you know,
Okay,
this is the internet, so
yeah. So it's all right then.
But yeah, like clock tower, I definitely think they should always change the clock tower in some small way. Some small way, just keep switching in some way. I'm pretty sure it really doesn't matter. Like, it's not that hard to just switch a small little jumping puzzle like that. It's really small. All you have to do is make it harder, do a different path,
Make it higher.
Yeah, or make it higher.
Water come up further.
Or keep adding tiers. Every Halloween, keep adding tiers. It'll get extremely high eventually.
Do you know what I think would be amazing? If you make it to the top of the clock tower, you get a reward, and then you move on to a second clock tower.
Yeah,
bigger.
Tiers.
And if you fall off of the second clock tower, you go back to the first clock tower. So it's like a hardcore survival. How long can you survive on this?
Oh,
thing?
you're evil, dude. You're evil.
That would be cool. And then you get to be the king of the castle on the top of the second clock tower, and you could have both clock towers visible from like that opening area, and you're like, "Oh, look at me! Can you catch me?" kind of thing. Oh, that'd be great. Oh, I'd love that.
Yeah, it's just like when they did the Aetherblade jumping puzzle. Like, you can see the chest right above you in the beginning of the...
yeah.
And people were just mesmer reporting all the way up there. Yeah, it was great. It was just great. People were just cheating, little punks.
I know how much you loved that puzzle.
Oh, I loved it. It was amazing. Next question.
Kano Arkin says, it's hard to...
Well, you moved on pretty quick there.
It's hard to find worth after you get a legendary, or at least that's how Matt makes it sound, squiggly face. Maybe without knowing it, an ArenaNet allowed the game to be overplayed. That's a set. First of all, this is a sentence with a question mark on the end, which isn't necessarily a question, but we'll indulge it.
Right. It's not that I think, once you get to your legendary, that's it. But that's one of those things, those long goals, that were in the game that, once you get it, like, there's no other long goals to get other than, like, fractals and, a couple other things. But that's, that's pretty much it. For a big status weapon or cosmetic,
Yeah.
And... yeah, I'm just waiting for the legendary armor to come out. The legendary gear. I'm pretty sure it's going to start with rings. That's what they said. They're going to start with accessories. So that's coming out. So I'll be working towards that, really. And no, it's not. There's plenty of stuff to do, right? But for me, like, I choose only certain things. Like, I like leveling up characters. I've mentioned all this stuff before. Like, really, I mostly invest most of my time into the bi-weekly updates. Really. Yeah. That's where most of my time is spent.
Until there's another long-term goal, right?
Right, exactly. Until there's another long-term goal. Other than making money and stuff like that, really, I don't want to do dungeons just for fun. I always go for the loot because that's what I like to do. And I guess gear progression is where my mind frame should be, right? Gear progression, that's where all the loot, you keep farming every time, but that's not fun. I like the fact of I don't necessarily have to invest every single hour of my free time into a game, right? You log in every day for a certain amount of time and you do what you want to do and then you log out.
What game is it you're playing at the moment on the DS? Animal Crossing, yeah?
Animal Crossing, that's kind of like that.
Guild Wars 2 is the MMO Animal Crossing.
Oh gosh, people are going to hate that.
Really? Yeah. Are they?
Yeah,
it's sort of the same.
Yeah, I guess you can say Animal Crossing is incredibly addicting. Like, Guild Wars 2 is really addicting. Like, you want to... Well, I want to say it's, like, incredibly addicting. But, like, you log in, you want to do the events that are happening in Animal Crossing. It has those events. On Sunday, there's going to be a fishing event in Animal Crossing. And I'm going to go there, and I'm going to do it because I want that whatever reward I'm going to get.
Dude, right. As well... We should talk about fishing in Guild Wars 2, because that was a thing this time last year. Like, but nobody talks about that anymore.
Really?
Fishing. Have you noticed how they're this is way off topic. Have you noticed how in game though, there for all the cooking and foods and stuff you can find, there are no fish whatsoever anywhere. No fish, no and there's obviously a lot of different types of fish. There's no seafood, nothing. And they did that specifically, and they announced ages ago, like around launch, that this was a specific thing because at some point they were considering adding fishing, and fishing would like be this full fleshed out thing that they assumed, I guess, a lot of people would want to have, but nobody's asking for it. Nobody seems to want it in Guild Wars 2 anyway, so it's just sort of not appeared.
I feel like because Guild Wars 2 has that casual fan base, right? No subscription fee, buy to play. They're just now adding hardcore content other than the fractals. I feel like Guild Wars 2 needs those types of like content, fishing and housing and stuff like that. Like that type of stuff that really people invest time into, right? And not just like, you press A at a certain time and you get a fish. No, they have to create
the
this
Pokemon way.
Yeah, they have to create this whole elaborate thing, around fishing and tie all these things into housing and guild halls and having certain furniture that you can only get from certain dungeons and stuff like that. Like I would love to see that, and more of that, because really that's those things that you can do other than sitting in Lion's Arch talking to people. Well, Lion's
Arch would be perfect as well, because there's all those like little river channels and inlets and seas and stuff. Like they could go really elaborate with like gathering professions, like they don't exist in Guild Wars 2, but fishing would be something like that, right? They could go really elaborate. You get different types of fish if you're near the sewers at Lion's Arch, if you're near the rivers, if you're out in the water, and yeah, anyway, it's just a cool feature. But it was something I was thinking of the other day. Like it was on people's lips a while ago, and now it's just sort of not. But
I did hear about it. Yeah.
All right, next question. I feel like we sort of segued horribly off of the previous one, but you want to just go for it?
Yeah.
Sorry to whoever that previous person was if we missed it. Farayman3 says, this is an interesting one. Please discuss how ArenaNet handles the Mac community. Matt, you were kind enough to ask a dev about progress at PAX, but we got a fake commercialized response. It doesn't matter so much that they don't have the time to improve it, but they ignore the whole community. PMs are ignored, and the last post for the Mac update notes is almost 1 year old. Please take a look on the forums and read some opinions there. Why do you reckon they approach it this way? Let me jump in first, okay? Mm-hmm. You are just one, I don't mean to insult him, but you are just one person of like a massive community, okay? They can't respond to every single message. I know for a fact, because like I make videos and people watch them and I get like comments, I know for a fact that it's really, really, really easy to read stuff on the internet, but it takes a lot more effort to reply to stuff. Like, it's really easy to read tons of stuff, nearly everything, and I'm sure ArenaNet do read those PMs, but to reply to them, it's a whole other level of effort, like, and they can't uniformly do that to every single individual fan. So it does get my back up a little bit when people suggest that this company is remiss somehow or being rude somehow because they don't actually get to reply to everything you say. Like, you don't what's the word, not deserve, but you don't what's the word, begins with R, I think. Whatever, you are not entitled to a response necessarily, right?
Yeah.
You're not entitled to a response. They probably do look into it. It's an interesting topic, and I think it's right to voice this about the Mac, and like their terrible support for it at the moment. But like PMs are ignored. Like
the thing is, what people have been saying is that there used to be like at least like a dev post every month or so, and that has kind of stopped. I haven't looked on the forums myself, but I'm assuming this is what's been happening. Like less and less devs are saying something, like, oh, we're working on it, blah, blah, blah. So it's kind of like a deserted forum place or something like that. I don't know, Mac people can say anything, but my friend, one of my friends previously got a Mac, right? He got a new Mac, and he's like, dude, I want to play Guild Wars 2 with you. Let's play some Guild Wars 2. And he started playing Guild Wars 2, but sometimes his client, like, messes up a bit, and it gets, like, a little bit of low frames and stuff like that. And I'm like, dude, you got to just boot camp it to Windows, because really that's where the support's at. And he's like, yeah, like, he's like, oh, I've been reading on the forums. There's, like, not much support and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, man, I sorry. Like, really, like, I don't know where I was going. I kind of got sidetracked. But like, they have so much other stuff that they're working on that I feel like maybe Macs are getting, like the butt end of this. They're working on all these other living story stuff and stuff like that. And it kind of sucks that they don't have like at least like, one small team and the janitor working QA to work on the client. Like, I don't understand. Like, there should have been some type of advances towards the Mac client. I don't know what's going on with that. Maybe they hit a ditch and maybe some of those guys are working on something else or something like that, or it's not high up on the list. But it kind of sucks. I'm not gonna say it doesn't, but it sucks for you guys who use Mac.
I have a couple of things to say on this. First of all, I've got to be honest, I don't have too much sympathy for Mac players, because you don't buy a Mac expecting to have video games to play. Like, you shouldn't do that, like, because there aren't that many. There are increasingly more and more, but like, again, it's sort of a situation where if you've got a Mac, maybe you're gonna be able to play this game in some functioning form, but I would be going into that expecting bugs and stuff, and that
I don't understand. There's no way you buy a Mac thinking that it's a good idea for like other stuff than Mac products. I mean, it's like buying an Apple product. You're gonna be locked unless you jailbreak it. You're gonna be locked into everything. Okay. Yeah. And it's overexpensive. Mac is overexpensive.
Wow, I wasn't gonna go.
I'm just saying, like, if you're buying a Mac, you're buying it because you want, like, Pro Tools. There's a lot of Mac only stuff that people buy for.
It's good for a lot of creative software. Honestly.
Yeah, really good for that stuff. But like, if you really want to get more bang for your buck, you might as well go Windows, and all the games will work. Especially if you get a decent laptop for $1,000, you can get a pretty good laptop that's not Mac. Compare the specs. But yeah.
The second thing I was going to say is the Mac client's kind of interesting. At launch, I remember they announced that Guild Wars 2 would have Mac support, like, at a really stupid time. First, they had, like, the big mess up with their official trailer for the game. And then the game released, and then it was like maybe it was a week later, or within a week, or somewhere around a week mark after the launch of the game, that they announced that they were going to have Mac support. And I remember looking at that at the time and thinking, geez, if they had this in the pipeline, if they were working on this, why the heck didn't they announce this before launch? They would have had a much bigger audience. Oh, this MMO is upcoming, releasing on Windows and Mac. And I remember thinking of that and thinking that's like the stupidest thing they could have done. They've put all this effort in. Why didn't they just like delay the release if they had to? Or it was probably out of their hands. But it was just weird. Yeah. It was just bad timing. But now I look on it, I think maybe the reason why they didn't announce it before launch was because they never wanted to push Guild Wars 2 as a solid product for that platform. Mm-hmm. That Mac, for them, Mac development, their integration with Mac, it like uses something I can't remember, but it's like very basic what they've done for it. And for them as developers, it was something of an afterthought and something easy-ish that they could put in with a bit of effort. But they never wanted it to be like this huge core part of Guild Wars 2, and that means that even then, when they originally put out this Mac client beta, because that's what it's considered at the moment, it's still the beta for Guild Wars 2 on Mac. When they put it out, they already sort of knew at that point that they weren't going to do much more to it, and maybe that's why they delayed releasing it and announcing its existence in the first place, because they didn't want to push this idea that Guild Wars 2 was a fully functioning Mac game. So it's sort of interesting how my perspective on that's twisted now. I don't know whether they're still planning on changing stuff with that. I don't know whether people that were working on that originally have maybe been laid off now because they're not needed or whatever.
Right.
Not that there's been layoffs necessarily. It's an interesting idea with the Mac client. You got anything else on that?
Nope. Next question.
Okay. Oakley dokley. Mullo Madness says, Matt V and Wooden P. Legendary weapons in the BLAH. Love it or hate it. IMO, hate it. I don't know why I'm saying all these. Same goes with the precursor. Legendary weapons are legendary and should be something you work and strive, and not something I can drop some bucks on out of my pocket. Yes, the money helps, ain't it? And yes, legendary weapons are hard enough to get, even though you can buy them and the precursor to craft them. But I think it's not legendary if you can buy them. Just my opinion, yours? Okay, mine, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care that you can buy them with real world money. That's a lot of real world money if you are mega nerd to the max that you're going to spend. I've spent a lot of money on Guild Wars 2, I've got to say, but like, if you're going to buy a legendary outright. That's a lot of money. It reminds me of like these discussions at launch where people are like, in theory, you can spend $500,000 and then spend it all on the trading post for crafting materials and buy your way to level 80. This game is broken, buy to win, blah, 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 blah. It's like, in practice, these arguments just don't hold up for me. Like, it's so much money. Realistically, people aren't going to do it. And the option's there to buy it in game, so I don't care. I view legendary weapons as a lot of effort to get, whether out of your real world pocket or in-game time. Who cares whether people value their in-game, their time more than their real world money? Who cares where your priorities lie? You've sacrificed a lot to get it in either scenario, so...
Also, people were selling legendaries anyway, in other means where they're mailing it to each other, gold selling sites. So this was like a counter towards this. It's like, okay, now you can sell your legendaries. Now you can just outright buy it instead of all those rich kids going to these websites and then getting scammed and then going to arena. Oh my gosh, I got scammed out of a billion gold or whatever like that. I do think it still has some value. I mean, it's like 1,000 and what, like 1,000 and something gold
upper end. Yeah, 2,000 gold on the upper
2,000 end. Gold. That is a lot of gold. Yes, I do feel like it should be something that you strive for and stuff like that. Precursors are over expensive, blah blah. But like, I don't know. I don't really necessarily have a problem with it. I can see why people might have a problem with it because they don't want people who just have money to just get it right away. They want people who actually earn it
anyway. Well, yeah, I can't.
People who want
that.
The thing is, people want that item that only if you work hard for it you get, regardless. But the thing is,
who cares how the other guy got it?
Hold up, unless it's not about gold, then it's gonna happen anyway.
Yes, that was what I was going to say too. It doesn't matter whether it's on the trading post. Wait, maybe you were going to go for a different...
No. Like, I'm saying it's like you still need a lot of gold to get your legendary regardless, so they can pay for gold regardless and get it that way.
Yes.
And all they have to do is get karma and obi shard. So it really doesn't really matter that it's on a trading post. It's just an easier way for people to buy it. Really.
Yeah. The trading post means nothing in this equation because if it wasn't trading postable, then it would just mean people have to craft it themselves. And the only element of crafting a legendary weapon that isn't bought is the Gift of Mastery and MattVisual, which is the easiest part of a legendary to get.
But I would
the Gift
like
of
to
Mastery.
See. Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm sorry.
It's cool.
I sidetracked there. I think to help you out here, like. I think they should do that for legendary armor, is that make it a way that gold is not like the thing to use for your armor. Like there's so many other ways to use other than gold, just kind of like time consuming stuff, or I don't know, like some other way, kind of like how they do karma. And I guess that's it. That's the only thing else you need is karma, right? Pretty much.
Skill points.
And skill points, right. If they add a lot of skill point stuff, karma stuff, and maybe some other bit that you can, like, you have to finish this big quest. Yeah, you have to finish this big quest, something like world completion, to add to that. And I would not want to see world completion. They better not put that in the legendary. I do not want to do world completion over again for my other pieces of armor. I am sorry. Unless they use one gift for the entire set.
Unless they give us an expansion and it's world completion of the expansion for the armor. Genius.
Yeah. Anyways, but yeah.
Well, that's an interesting idea with an expansion, whether you would get a new gift of like a generation 2 gift of mastery, or gift of exploration for completing an expansion continent, and that's what you'd use for a Gen 2 legendary. It would be an interesting idea, but then that would mean they have to hold off Gen 2 legendaries until expansion, and we've talked a lot about that, and since there's not even one on the horizon, it might not work.
Yeah.
Do you want to go next?
Yep.
G.I.J. Konings says, here's a question. There was a petition on Reddit about Cantha being in Guild Wars 2. Well, WP even mentioned it to people in my Factions Lore video. So what has happened with that? Were there any devs that responded? He also says, I dare you to pronounce my name correctly. Guy, if there's one thing you know about me, it's that I don't pronounce anything correctly and the internet hates me for it. So here's my best attempt. Gijs Konings. Boom, there you go. I think that's German, isn't the second word German for like death or something? I think.
No idea.
Okay, so what happened with that? Basically, I'm a little bit regretful for putting that up. So for people that don't know, I did a video talking about the law of it's part 1 of 4 in a series about the law of factions and one of the continents in this universe. That was associated with the first expansion of Guild Wars 1, or the first standalone campaign. And it was just while I was in the process of making that video, something blew up where I believe it was an artist at ArenaNet, or one of the level designers or something that had been about before the launch of the game, essentially said that Cantha was a no-go for Guild Wars 2 because the publishers, NCSoft, who have who are basically originally from... where are they from? Are they China, I think, or something? Korea? Well, they're from the East, right? They I'm so scared I'm going to be racist or something, right? They basically said though that Guild Wars 2 wasn't going to have this continent because it would generalize, Eastern cultures and perhaps be offensive or not be marketable in their own region, kind of thing. So ArenaNet was strong-armed into not producing this continent for the game, and at the same time as these statements were made, he suggested that the Great Collapse, which was once during early development supposedly meant to be the Canthan district, and there is an NPC in game who suggests it was instead, when this happened pre-launch, they decided, right, let's just destroy the Canthan district then and turn it into a great whole. And apparently the devs always had like an in-joke that the Great Collapse was, the collapse of Guild Wars 2's integrity, or so, some crap about how it meant that they couldn't, and all of this is, speculation built on Chinese whispers, built on speculation, built on lies and misunderstanding, right? It was just this big thing that blew up in the community, but it really affected me at the time because it all sounded quite solid, and I feel like I was probably sucking into it, which is why today I sort of regret that with that video I did, I was concerned at the time, so I put out this big disclaimer at the start. I said, look guys, I'm about to tell you about all this awesome stuff in this franchise, this amazing continent, this amazing culture, this amazing world, and there's a very high chance this will not be in Guild Wars 2 because of what I've just explained to you. So please, can you talk about it on the forums and just, let ArenaNet know we do really want this? Because with all these statements came an append from the devs saying if it's something that the players really want and can prove they really want it, maybe it will come. So I said all of that, and then, 1-2 months later, I believe it just sort of came out that none of that was really true. All of the devs that have ever been public about it have said, no, there's no such thing about us not wanting to do Cantha. It's never been off the table for us. We don't hate Cantha. Cantha is a possibility, but it's always been, then added, we just haven't made any plans yet. But Cantha, it is something we could do. So all of this controversy, all of this talk about it may have just been completely unnecessary and useless. Mm-hmm. Now, there are some tin foil people that will say, no, it was real, and now we've just caused this uprising, and they don't want to reveal that we've changed their minds. But I genuinely think, I, among many others, got suckered into this whole idea that Cantha wasn't going to happen, and it probably always was, though they might not, and it's totally fine if the devs themselves aren't that keen on the continent. I think it's got great lore, but, it's subjective, and it comes down to what they want.
Amazing lore. Amazing. That is the one thing I've been looking forward to, and when I saw Guild Wars 2, I was like, aww.
Well, see, Factions was a really interesting setting in the first game because of the Jade Wind and how these two regions, the sea and the forest, had been petrified, and there were these beautiful, beautiful places. But that's actually in the lore been receding now. So if we went back there, that huge element of what that continent was before would now just be removed for Guild Wars 2, which would make them less interesting, I feel, in some ways. There are a lot of other things that would prop that continent up. There is a lot of other really good stuff. And Guild Wars 2, the first game you couldn't jump, there was no Z-axis. Guild Wars 2 now has that, so to return to the Jade Sea and the Echo-Veld Forest would be quite interesting, because you'd be able to climb really high in these trees and swim really low down in this
jumping puzzles.
See, jumping puzzles in the Echo-Veld Forest. I don't know how much you've seen of that place, but the canopy of the trees is so insanely high and fantastical and beautiful. Oh my god, I'd love to be able to climb those trees. It would be the greatest thing in the world. Yes. So good, so good. But it's up in the air. They haven't announced that they're doing it, but they have announced that it sounds like just everything we were talking about, everything I was talking about, was a load of crap. Next question.
Yeah.
Confusing says, what do you want to see from the Guild Wars 2 lore actually come into the game? I personally only play Guild Wars 2 for the story because I love the lore of it, but the living story feels like a filler arc. Sorry if this brings up anime again. Oh, so what animes have you been interested in, Matt, recently?
Let's not.
Pokemon Orange. I want something a little more concrete, like a bad villain, like an Elder Dragon or a mega plot twist in, like, Prophecies. I'll start, and I'm only going to say one little thing. Prophecies, yeah, it had a lot of plot twists, but they were just excuses to get us to travel around the world. People forget that. It's like, oh, we've been to Ascalon, plot twist. Oh, we're in the Shiver Peaks, plot twist. Oh, we're in Kryta, plot twist. And it was just an excuse to get you to move around the map. It really was. It was sort of like an excuse of a world tour.
Like Call of Duty.
There were too many. Yeah, sure.
Call of Duty is just like, oh, now we have to go in the snowy stage, and now we have to go to Cuba, and now we have to go to the United States. Now we have to bring down the Lady Liberty because that's awesome, and destroying like people's towns and stuff. Yeah. Anyways. Well, yeah.
No, that's all I had to say. I am curious though for you, Matt, someone that's just sort of getting started with the lore and stuff. What do you want the living story to cover?
I would like to see it kind of like branch out to some epic thing, and that's just something so easy to say, like, oh, it has to be epic in some way, right? Because I haven't been really interested much in certain, like Scarlet was a very good character because the voice acting was there. It got me very intrigued. Logan was there, which was part of the personal story, and I always like seeing Logan, being a little puppy to the queen. So like, I would like to see them use more characters like they did in the Living Story. And maybe it's so easy to say a dragon because, they're going to have to build around that. They can't just put out like another Shatterer. Like they have to do another Tequatl type thing with mechanics and stuff. So it's not that easy just to do. But they also said that Living Story and expansions are not so different. And people are confused with that. So, that being said, I would like to see them spend more time on the living story, branch out some epic battle, right? For like a month or three content patches. You know how before they're like, oh, the first act is this 2 weeks, right? And then we play through all the story, right, in this act, and then you get like a little special reward at the end for completing this act. And then in the next 2 weeks, this act is gonna spawn, and then it just keeps building up to this epic story. And then Act 3 is just like, oh my gosh, a dragon or some big awesome boss battle or a really nice dungeon, right? That's slightly different because they've been doing some different mechanics and stuff like that. So I wouldn't say that it'll be too hard for them to put a nice dungeon that changes the game. Maybe make it more open in some way, or just make it an open world battle, with everyone, which will be great because, mostly that's what it's about. Everyone's together. It's like, oh, we went through the whole story. Everyone's caught up. Let's beat the final boss, and the final boss has some really cool mechanics. Probably shouldn't be a dragon because you already got Tequatl. They should probably mix it up a little bit. Put out like some type of boss that's not a dragon and make it be a world boss. But yeah, I would like to see that again because they did that with Flame and Frost, but it was in the beginning stages of the living story and it wasn't quite fleshed out right. I don't want to be fixing signs. That's a running joke, but
it's funny when you said I want something epic, but it's easy to say something epic. It made me think: would anyone? I was going to make the joke. Flame and Frost was epic, and then I was like, I won't make that joke. And then I thought, I wonder if anyone ever described Flame and Frost as epic, and I googled it, and there's like loads of articles. It's like MMORPG.com, Flame and Frost's epic conclusion, and there was very little that I found epic about Flame and Frost.
MMORPG, see, this is the thing between YouTubers and fan sites, and this is the one I'm always worried about. Fan sites, they have to be on ArenaNet's balls. Let's be honest right now. They have to be on ArenaNet's balls. They have to say everything is great. They can't be honest about anything. What the hell does that do? And I guess just because it's a media site, you're bringing the media, right? You're not Fox with debates and stuff. So well, I don't know anything about that, but it's weird. But with YouTubers, we will say if something is just not good enough, And I never think ArenaNet's really judging us for doing that because, they did fly me out to PAX. So I think, it's all right to say something that's just not good.
I think fan sites do that. I think they do. You got to consider as well, a lot of fan sites are aggregates of many enthusiastic members of the community who are just writing their thoughts out, And I think it is kind of difficult to generalize that sometimes. And it depends a lot on the fan site itself.
Right.
And, maybe the thing is you can twist stuff like Flame and Frost epic conclusion. Like if ArenaNet had just described to me what that patch was going to include and really built it up, it could sound epic. It's just, in retrospect, very little ever seems to have been.
Right.
Do you want to leave that one there? I don't have too much to elaborate on it, to be honest.
No, that's it.
All right, Usless. I think that name's supposed to be useless, but it's actually Usless. Usless91 says PS4 or Xbox One?
Man, the question to rule them all. There can only be one.
I feel like
Xbox One. No, not really. I'm thinking since Kingdom Hearts is on both systems, it's kind of hard. But I do really want some exclusives that are on the PS4, and a lot of the exclusives that are for the Xbox is for PC as well, like Titanfall. I'm not really much of a FPS gamer as I used to be. I used to be heavy into Halo, Call of Duty back in the days, and a lot of Gears of War before they went all crazy with their weapons and stuff like that. So, I'm kind of leaning towards PS4 a little bit more. Not because of this whole, oh my gosh, Xbox did this wrong. Oh my gosh, I feel the pain. I'm not going to get Xbox now because of this. No, I'm gonna get the better console once they come out. If they say, oh man, Xbox is really cool and the exclusives, oh my gosh, it's good. I'm gonna get the game. I'm gonna get the console that has the best exclusive, that has the best online capabilities and what I can do with it. What goes with me? So if I want to use the Kinect and there's a lot of exclusives, I'm gonna go with Xbox. If there's a lot of good exclusives on PS4 and the graphics is just way better and it's closer to my system, because even though graphics really don't matter at the end of the day, it's more about the gameplay and how you feel when you're making choices or whatever type of gameplay you get. It's all about those exclusives, and that's why I got my 3DS recently, right? That's a perfect example. I got my purple 3DS because I want to play Pokemon, dang it. And there were now, it's been out for a while now, right? I didn't get it until now because that is the exclusive that pushed me over the edge to get my 3DS, right? Even though there were Animal Crossing, even though there was
some of the Mario games.
Some of the Mario games, Kingdom Hearts. I still haven't played Mario yet. I need to play 3D Land. But
is Luigi's Mansion on 3DS?
Yeah, there's one. There's an exclusive one on 3DS, yes. And I heard it's pretty good. I haven't played that yet. I haven't played any Luigi's Mansion yet, by the way. I need to go back and play. Me neither.
I've never, but it looks like an interesting series, at least. I would like Luigi.
What about you?
PS4 for me, just because I sort of regret, and I'm such a hipster at heart because I'm sort of like, oh, PS4? Everybody wants PS4. Maybe I'll find something redeeming in the Xbox. No, PS4, I have to be honest. PS4 because I sort of regret going with Xbox 360 this generation. This generation, sort of, I'm glad that I stuck with the Halo franchise. I love Halo, but that is all that Xbox has going for it. Really, I don't care about any other exclusives for Xbox. I barely play consoles at all.
You might be right.
But PlayStation over the years has had more and more interesting games. And the moment I realized that was when Journey was coming out. I just looked at this huge list of games that I really wanted to play, dating back to almost the launch of PS4 when you had stuff like Little Big Planet. These are all games that I wanted to play, but I just missed. And it's and recently as well with Naughty Dog single-handedly has given me a huge desire to be with Sony.
That's when I got a PS3, when Naughty Dog put out their Uncharted series and Little Big Planet and all that.
Yeah, the generation before this, I was more of a Sony guy. I loved the Ratchet and Clank series. I've always been a big fan of Final Fantasy. I mean, Not all of them. I mean, I was a bit too young for like the really early stuff. But as soon as it was on PlayStation, basically, there's been a lot of games that I just sort of gave up for Halo, and it's like it was worth it. I didn't enjoy Halo 4 that much though. I think my brother's going to get an Xbox One, so we can like pair it up kind of thing. Yeah. I always play co-op anyway when I'm doing Halo, so whatever, I'll just do it with him. That's what I'm doing.
I was mostly on the Xbox. I had both systems, but really, like, the Xbox had a far superior online capabilities. That's why I used the Xbox. True. That's why I used it. PS3 had, like, the best exclusives. I mean, just as before everything became, like, all spread out, now we have Dark Souls and all that. But Demon Souls, the Uncharted series, things like Journey, Little Big Planet, the Final Fantasy. Well, the new Final Fantasy stuff was ugh. But there's a lot of good stuff, and of course, Kingdom Hearts. Everyone was waiting for Kingdom Hearts 3 to come out, but now it's going to come out for the next console, and of course, the Final Fantasy Versus, which is now the next Final Fantasy entirely. But stuff like that. There's some more there, but I totally forgot. I'm blanked out. I don't really like Killzone. I don't really care. But yeah, you got to be right. For me, Gears of War was really big with me. And that was the exclusive that I was really happy about. After Halo 3, though, I lost interest in Halo Reach, and that's the part where I just lost interest in.
Oh, that was quite early, man. ODST gets a bad rap, but that has got
I enjoyed
ODST was insane, and it's probably got my favorite video. Well, it's in my top 5 favorite video game soundtracks of all time. There's one song called "Difference for Darkness." People, look that song up. That's so good. It starts off with the most beautiful piano. Oh, it's so good.
Halo music is amazing, dude.
It is. I love that franchise. I loved Reach as well. There's a video that's like hours and hours online.
No, I didn't. The stupid armor lock crap and all that. No,
that's gameplay though. I'm in it for the story. I love the universe and the story and the characters.
What I do is I rent all of them and play through them, because I have a thing with my best friend that I just sit down and I play through the Halo series ever since the first one.
Yeah, I mean, what you got to consider as well is Halo 1, 2, 3, Reach, and ODST. They're a part of like the original trilogy. They're the Bungie developed games, and you can sort of see how Microsoft is now just milking it as a cash cow. And yeah, there was a lot of love that went into Halo 4, and I don't want to discredit it. And it did do some things right. It had lots of weapons. I've always felt that weapon variety in the Halo franchise was lacking. And basically every weapon that's ever been in the franchise was in Halo 4. And it did some good stuff, but the story didn't grab me as much now that we're sort of in the second trilogy, the second arc kind of thing. Mm-hmm. There's so much I love about that original thing. Like every word that the Gravemind utters. There's this video online. It's like 2 hours long, maybe even 3 hours long. It's just every single Halo cutscene chopped together. And you really see, you really see how that series, and it's chronological as well. So it starts with like Halo Wars, which is kind of crappy, but it's only like 15 minutes. And then after that, it goes into Reach, and then 1, 2, and you see that story explode and flourish with Halo 2. Halo 2 had I wish that Halo 3 had a campaign as long and as beautiful as the second one had, and all games ever since then. One of my favourite levels of any video game ever is the level. Is it called Gravemind? There's one where you're on a Covenant ship, and like you're walking about as you hear the Covenant devolve into civil war and everything just getting destroyed around you. It has this amazing scene at the end where you're in the mausoleum of the Arbiter, and it plays like a Breaking Benjamin song, and then like the flood crash onto High Church. It's amazing. It's so good. I love that franchise. But and that love got me through the Xbox 360. But now. I mean, what, the trailer for Halo 5, or just Halo as it's called? You saw that?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a guy in a desert and he just reveals himself. Okay, I'm not in it. And they released, do you know there was a Halo game for PC, top-down, like, twin-stick shooter they released recently?
Yeah.
That just, like, didn't do very well. And again, it's just, like, milking it.
After a while, this is going to become, like, I don't want it.
Gears of War.
Like, I enjoyed Call of Duty right in the beginning. I used to play Call of Duty. I used to play on modded maps on my computer. Like, Call of Duty was great. It started to be a milking thing, and then every year it come out with some crap. The best thing to come out of this milking is Zombies, because Zombies is the best game mode I've ever played, like, in a while, since Gears of War Horde mode, which is pretty much where it kind of started-ish, at least on consoles. And then Assassin's Creed, another series that I just love the story for. And it's being milked, man. It's being milked.
See, I've liked the idea. I haven't got into Assassin's Creed, but it does worry me a little bit now that, like, it is just... I thought they were pretty smart how they did 3 games for just Assassin's Creed 2, and then they went... But then the thing is, they did, like, Assassin's Creed 3, and they just skipped very quickly to 4, haven't they? And that sort of left a bit of a sour taste in my mouth for actually trying the series out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, it would be a good... That's going to be PS4 as well, though, right? Did you just say? Yeah. That's Ubisoft, right? So that is Ubisoft, isn't it?
It's going to be on everything. I haven't seen a release date for PC, which kind of worries me because that's what I play it on. So I'm a little worried about that. Especially Grand Theft Auto didn't come on PC either, so it's just like
Wait, Grand Theft Auto? Yeah, they always do a year's like delay though. Rockstar have always done that. It will come.
Oh, yeah?
It will come with modding.
Right. I guess so.
Yeah, the ports are a little bit like the port for GTA 4 was a bit shaky, honestly. But they let you like mod it and stuff, so they're pretty good with the way that they do it. They just put a delay on for some reason. So final question.
Yep, let's do it.
Draker Thorn says, "Wow, this isn't even a real question." This isn't even okay. Wow. Okay, we have to answer this super seriously. Oh my god. Okay, hold on. I accidentally just closed it down. We have to answer this super seriously. You got it?
Yep.
I think this is the real question we've all been wondering. Where did Ritlock's pants go? I'll let you attempt to answer while I think of something real.
I think. All right. I think Logan got pissed. Right. You know they have a little feud going on. Logan got pissed. Took Ritlock's pants and took everything out of his wardrobe. And now, he just had some bandages and he just wrapped it around his leg, covered up his junk. And that's that's the root of why they hate each other. Is that he stole his pants.
Is he covering up his junk? Like, I want to get my model and look between his legs. Is he covering up his junk?
Yeah. He's covering up his junk with bandages. So why didn't he buy pants? Who knows? Maybe he just has pride. And he's like, you know what? Logan, you can suck it. Okay? I'm going to wear no pants because I'm a boss. And I'm Steve Bloom. So, yeah.
I can give you an attempt for a real reason seated in real law. Shall I try that?
Yeah, do it.
And I'm actually doing a Guild Wars 2 Mysteries. It will be out today, probably in a few hours. Well, when we record this anyway. About Ritlock. It's about Sohothin and Magdair, okay? But eventually, like, Ritlock is the star of the show. Ritlock is a really weird character, right? Because he's a big character in this franchise, but we don't know anything about him, really. And that won't occur to you until you realise his name is Ritlock Brimstone, okay? Stone denotes his warband. His warband are his family, the people that he's supposed to have lived his whole life with, fighting by his side, caring greatly for, right?
Yeah.
And we've never met a single member of his warband. And there's a lot in the lore and like the books and descriptions of Ritlock as a character that place him as a really odd Char. Like, even though he's now a tribune in the Black Citadel, a lot of Char sort of don't even respect his... A lot of Char are incredibly intimidated by him and, really do respect his position. But a lot of people, even though he's sort of an ex-member of Destiny's Edge and he's got this high rank, still sort of view him as just a bit of an oddball and, a kind of a weird Char. And if you look at his history, the first time we ever meet Ritlock is Logan meets him on the Blazeridge Steps, and Ritlock's a Blood Legion Char, but he's hanging out with loads of Iron Legion Char, and Logan is eventually like, hey, how comes you were hanging out with loads of Iron Legion Char? What's going on? And Ritlock basically just distanced himself, for whatever reason, some unknown reason, from his own warband, and, wouldn't tell Logan about it. And we've never had an answer to that mystery. And that ties into the other mystery of him as a character as to why he has one of the most powerful artifacts and relics of the Ascalon nation, one of these great swords from Or, why he just wields it. Sohothin, why he's got that. They never tell us. Sohothin last we saw was in the Fire Island chain and now it's in his hands. So, all that considered, I think he has no pants because it's somehow related to his old warband, who he was inappropriately stripping for, and they kicked him out, and he never managed to recover his clothes, so he just bandaged his stuff up. And just as he got his clothes on, Logan appeared, and loads of Iron Legion Char, and he was like, cool, I'll follow you. And that's his history.
Right. That totally works. That totally works. Anyways, guys, that's the show. If you want us to answer any questions, please leave it in the comment section below. And yeah, anything else? Anything else we should?
No, thank you very much for watching, guys. And
hey!
I was gonna try it. But
you gonna?
I don't even remember how it goes, dude. No. Anyways, guys, thank you very much for watching. Remember to say what's up in the comment section below and stay visual. Was that it?
Anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, give me a like, share with your friends, leave a comment, say what's up in the comment section below, and stay visual.
And then that's where the music comes in. That's good.
No. Wait. Ritlock has no pants.